Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 2023 Ram 1500 and how Ram has just officially made the truck wars in the half-ton segment a little bit crazier. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So first off, let's talk about these changes for the 2023 Ram 1500 and how this is really going to shake things up with Ford and with Chevy, and frankly Toyota and Nissan as well. So first off, the 2023 Ram 1500, like I've said in other videos, is not going to get a body style change. They changed the body style for the 2019 model year, and it's been extremely popular. The overall platform is just fantastic, and they keep expanding this platform because it's currently used not only in the Ram 1500, but also the new Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer as well. And so the exterior body is pretty much going to stay the same. There are going to be some different appearance packages available for 23. There might be like a Tier X appearance package that I've talked about in prior videos where they'll basically give you a Ram 1500 Rebel with the Tier X hood, which, yeah, we'll call it the all show and no go package. But there will be some stuff like that. But for the most part, like I said, body style will stay the same. Now, the interior is also pretty much going to stay the same for the 2023 Ram 1500. They might release some new interior colors with different packages and just slightly tweak some things. But for the most part, it's going to have the same interior, same infotainment system that they updated for the 2022 model year. And then it'll have, you know, upgraded features that they've added to the truck, like the new cabin air filtration system, and then also the camera mirror that they added for the 2021 model year. Now, the big news for the interior is the fact that we will get a fully digital gauge cluster for higher up packages on the Ram 1500. It sounds like packages like the Bighorn will come standard with the same analog gauge cluster we've had for quite some time, but then if you get like a Limited or a Tier X, you're going to have a digital gauge cluster as standard. And I've seen some of the spy photo images, and I'm not exactly sure how to feel about it yet. I have to see it in person myself, but I don't know. I think that I might end up preferring the analog gauge cluster, and it's a good thing that I've kept my 21 Tier X, I suppose, so that I can have my analog gauge cluster fun. Now, moving from that to the big change, and that is the powertrain. So Ram is still going to offer the 5.7 Hemi and the 5.7 Hemi e-torque for the 2023 model year. There is a slight chance they might not offer the 5.7 Hemi, but it seems like them offering the 5.7 Hemi at the same price as the 5.7 Hemi e-torque has worked really well for Ram. Basically, they get to make a little bit of extra money off of people that don't want the e-torque system, because obviously it costs Ram a little bit more money to incorporate the e-torque into a truck. And so if someone's willing to pay more money for a regular 5.7, or sorry, the same amount of money for a regular 5.7 Hemi, then yeah, they're all about it at this point. And fuel economy ratings aren't as important for them as you'd think, because again, they're under the Stellantis umbrella, which has a lot of very fuel efficient vehicles. And so yeah, there is some pressure, but not as much pressure. 3.6 liter V6 will also still be available with the truck, as well as the EcoDiesel powertrain. So all that stuff is pretty much going to remain unchanged. We might see some updates with the EcoDiesel in the next few years in the Ram 1500, because Chevy's actually updating their Duramax inline 6, and so Ram's going to have to step things up with EcoDiesel so that they can stay competitive with Chevy. If you guys don't know, Chevy's Duramax is going from 277 horsepower to 305 horsepower for the 2023 model year, and then it's going from 460 horsepower to 460 pound-feet of torque to 495 pound-feet of torque. Too many numbers in my head. I guess we're struggling a little bit here. So Ram's EcoDiesel having 260 horsepower and then 480 pound-feet of torque, they'll have to, you know, bump things up just a little bit to stay competitive within the segment, at least with the horsepower. The torque is pretty much right there. Now, the big news, obviously, is for the Hurricane powertrain. Now, I initially thought that Ram would just come straight out of the gates with the Hurricane powertrain, and then I went back and said, no, they're probably going to just release the truck with the powertrains that it has right now with the new digital gauge cluster, and then, you know, late availability for 23, then they'll have the Hurricane powertrain. But Ram has delayed the ordering of 2023 Ram 1500s until October, and they're not going to build trucks until January. They might even delay it further. We'll see what happens. they haven't done that for a long time. So if you guys don't know, when the new body style Ram 1500 came out, Ram basically let people order this truck in 2018. And I worked at a Ram dealer at that time, and we took delivery of 2019s in 2018. Now, that has pretty much been the trend for the last few years. So like in 2021, Ram dealerships were getting 2022s. Now it's 2022, and so you think Ram dealerships are going to get 2023s. That's not going to be the case. Ram dealerships won't get 2023s until 2023. So that means that Ram is pushing things off because there's some big changes, and that is this Hurricane powertrain. I believe now that they're going to just debut the 2023 Ram 1500 with this powertrain. Now, there's two different things they could do. They could just do the standard output version of this powertrain, or they could debut it with the standard output and the high output. If you guys don't know, the new Jeep Grand Wagoneer has already been debuted with the Hurricane powertrain, and it has 510 horsepower and then 500 pound-feet of torque, which is just crazy for a half-ton truck. The Ford F-150 EcoBoost, 400 horsepower, 500 pound-feet of torque. Even the PowerBoost doesn't have that much horsepower. It does have more torque though. It's like 580 or whatever, but that's a hybrid, obviously. This does not have any sort of hybrid component to it. The standard output version of this powertrain is around 400 horsepower and just under 500 pound-feet of torque. And so what's going to happen is basically the 5.7 Hemi is still going to cost about what it costs. This new Hurricane powertrain is going to be an upgrade that you have to pay extra for on top of a 5.7 Hemi. It's not going to be way more expensive. It's just going to be a little bit more expensive. And then there might also be the high output version available as well for select packages. Most likely Ram Rebel, and then Ram 1500 Limited as well. Sadly, it's not going to be in the TRX just yet, maybe in the future, but that will for sure be a much higher cost option. So like 5.7 Hemi right now is like $2,700. The Hurricane is most likely going to be somewhere in the $3,000 range, and then the high output version is going to be probably closer to $5,000 in terms of the upgrade price for the powertrain. And so yeah, things are getting pretty crazy, and if Ram does give us this high output version, that was like the worst stutter on the planet, then we will officially have the craziest half-ton truck on the segment, and probably the best half-ton truck on the segment, because right now what Ford has going for it is the EcoBoost and the PowerBoost. If Ram releases the high output version of this powertrain in the 1500, then Ford's going to have to step things up with their truck. They're going to have to get rid of those leaf springs, go for multi-link in the rear to make it so that their truck can compete with Ram more readily, because yeah, that's kind of what's carrying Ford at this point. And then Chevy obviously has their 6.2 V8, which is monstrous, but if, again, we get the high output, it'll have more power, more torque than the 6.2 V8, and probably be way more economical as well in a truck that frankly has a nicer interior compared to even the refreshed version of the Silverado and the GMC Sierra. And so yeah, things are stacking up, and hopefully Ram does things in the way that I think they're going to do it, and they're going to basically send Ford and Chevy running back to the drawing boards and figuring things out with powertrains and everything. Or else we're going to see Ram selling probably 700,000 units a year. Just mark my words. This truck is becoming more and more popular every single day, and Ram just keeps nailing things every single time they release new iterations of this truck. Let me know what you guys think about the new Ram 1500, the Hurricane powertrain, and what you would consider purchasing in 2023 if you were to buy a 2023 Ram 1500. Would you stick with a 5.7 Hemi, or would you go for the standard output Hurricane, or would you go for the high output if it ends up being available? I'll see ya.